When you make decisions for your company, you always look for the no-brainers. And if you have a lot of mailing and shipping to do, Stamps.com is the ultimate no-brainer. It streamlines your process to make your business more efficient, which makes you less busy. Mail checks, invoices, legal documents, books, and everything you need to keep your business running with Stamps.com. Seamlessly connect with every major marketplace and shopping cart if you sell online. Schedule package pickups through the dashboard and automatically see your cheapest and fastest shipping options from different carriers, with rates up to 89% off USPS and UPS rates. And with the Stamps.com mobile app, you can take care of mailing and shipping wherever you are, even on the go. Make the same no-brainer decision as over 1 million other business decision makers with Stamps.com. Sign up at Stamps.com with code PROGRAM for a special offer that includes a 4-week trial, plus free postage and a free digital scale. No long-term commitments or contracts. That's Stamps.com, code PROGRAM.
We made this.
We Are Starfleet is the ultimate companion podcast to Star Trek Discovery. Check out our previous episodes for Season 1 and 2 recaps, where I'm joined by various Trek guests, as well as my co-host Ian, to discuss the events of the Klingon War, the Mirror Universe, Captain Pike, and the Enterprise, and of course, the Red Angel and Control. Season 3 is live on CBS All Access, and if you're listening to this episode without having watched the prior episodes of Discovery, like, I don't know, you popped in, you saw an ad, and you're like, oh, cool, this podcast sounds great, let me check it out. And you landed here, let me warn you, there are some major spoilers ahead, and you might be a little bit lost. My name is Mike Slammer, and I'm just a regular guy with a regular job, and I happen to love Star Trek. I'm joined by my co-host, Ian Buckley.
Hey, Mike, how are you tonight?
I am doing well. What got you watching Star Trek?
Oh, man. I mean, I think I do talk a little bit about this on that Season 2 recap episode you mentioned, but for me, it was basically childhood indoctrination.
Yep. Like so many of us out there.
Like so many of us, yeah. It was reruns of the original series, watched with my dad in particular, but both my parents too, and the original series cast movies, especially Wrath of Khan and Voyage Home. I watched those on repeat growing up.
Same. Wrath of Khan, Voyage Home, Undiscovered Country. Those were staples in my household for me, because I could follow those and I understood them.
Yeah, Wrath of Khan was one of the first movies of any kind I remember watching. Like, it's such a clear memory for me.
Nice. I took my well, she's now my wife, but back when we were dating, I actually took her to AMC theaters. They were doing the special. I think it was maybe, the 48th or, whatever anniversary of the movie, or of Star Trek it was, and AMC was doing like a big celebration of Star Trek: The Wrath of Khan, with a special interview with William Shatner beforehand. And I remember that the theater had like major issues with the screening, and the projector went down, and she hadn't eaten prior, and we were like, oh, we'll get some snacks or whatever. And then, the snack line was long as all heck. So then we had some really crappy movie theater hot dogs while we waited for the projector to come back up. It was a mess.
Yeah.
But how are you liking Discovery so far? We have episode 6, Scavengers, that we're going to be talking about.
Yeah, so I think we've both been enjoying season 3 so far. I certainly found a lot of things to like in this latest episode. I think it was probably my least favorite of the season so far, though. Overall,
yeah. I have to say I echo that a little bit. We're going to do our deep dive, but for me, we have been putting number scores because, as you know, we are reviewing and recapping the episodes.
Yeah.
For me personally, this is a rough one. I'm really sorry. 5.5.
Ooh, okay. That's a rough rating.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm about a full point above that though. Certainly, like I said, my lowest of the season so far, but that's not to say that I didn't have plenty that I did like within it. I certainly don't want to be a total downer on this episode, but totally I think for a season that feels like as a whole it's taking a big step forward, it's a little bit of a disappointing episode.
Yeah. So, episode 6, Scavengers, directed by Douglas oh man, I'm gonna butcher this guy's name. I am so sorry. I'm Polish too, so I should be able to say it. Arniak-Aski. Written by Anne Cofell Saunders, who, I want to point out, wrote the Pegasus episode of Battlestar Galactica, which was an amazing piece of television.
Sure was.
And it actually, I looked it up, it won a Peabody Award.
Nice. Well earned. It's funny you mentioned that. My partner's never seen Battlestar Galactica, and we just started watching it, so we're just getting into it would probably be my third or fourth rewatch, but it's been many years for me, so it's been really fun so far.
Very cool. That's a great series. I know the final season, went off the rails a little bit, but you know what? As a whole, I enjoyed it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you know what? I don't even mind how it ended. Like I love that show so much.
So social media, as you guys should know by now, listening to our podcast, if you've been with us, we crawl the internet looking for different social media reactions. What are people saying?
I think there was a lot of focus on the relationships between some of the characters that have been developing over the course of the season. A lot of people are really liking the relationship between Stamets and Adira that's developing. Gail Lane Pepper at Gail Lane Pepper on Twitter said, "I love the budding sibling-like relationship between Stamets and Adira. I hope we get to see more of it." And you can sort of see in the episode how, Stamets has this sort of big brother with a substantial age gap, a big brother kind of relationship with this new character, and it's fun to see this side of him that we haven't really gotten to see before.
True. Gotta definitely agree with the dynamic that they're developing between Stamets and Adira.
Absolutely. How about you?
So over on the Reddits, we have Logan Nolag says, self-stealing stem bolts. Nice callback to DS9.
Yeah, for sure. No J Consortium stamped, I'm sure.
There was a lot of little things and items and fun little Easter eggs that if you looked closely enough, you'd be able to recognize. One of the items in the big basket that Burnham was rifling through was an old Guitar Hero controller that was painted and looked to be rusted out and kind of messy and beat up. But I recognized it, so interesting stuff. It's like they just pulled a whole bunch of dumpsters together and said, we can make this look futuristic.
Yeah, absolutely. There were a couple of 24th century Trek references. They also referenced baryon sweeps, which was a fun little callback. Nice to know they're still doing that.
Still got to do them, man. Got to make sure that the ships are clean,
even 900 years later. Yeah. At Mark Perkins on Twitter said, I didn't think I'd be yelling, "Don't ruin this for us, Linus," at my TV during this week's Star Trek Discovery episode, but here we are. A lot of people loved the Linus transporting all over the ship gag that they kept doing through the episode. Yeah,
they use him just enough.
Yeah, they didn't overdo it. And I'll be curious to see if they ever use Linus for more than comic relief, because that's sort of what he was in his few second season appearances as well. But, I'm certainly not complaining. They don't overdo it.
For sure. So over on on Reddit again, user Santa Hates You says, at this point, Burnham feels like a serious mariner, referencing Star Trek Lower Decks.
Yeah. Certainly the streak of self-sabotaging behavior runs pretty deep in both. The lack of kind of serious consequence in Lower Decks, obviously a key difference as well. But I can definitely see one can see the comparisons between the two characters.
Yeah, I mean, in a previous episode, I have referenced Mariner to essentially be a bored Michael Burnham.
Yep.
So yeah, that
basically
absolutely tracks.
Yeah. William T. Wanker on Reddit. Great name.
Nice.
Linus transporting around the ship randomly is my new favorite thing. A lot of love for Linus.
He's, we need that kind of comedy though. It's a nice break from all the stuff that's constantly going on.
Yeah, it works. It does, the general tone of season 3, even though the subject matter can be serious, is pretty light so far, which I think Linus fits well into.
Yep. So, are you ready to get into our deep dive here?
Yeah, let's get into it, man. Let's do it. So, the opening sequence with the .7s again, the little drones, upgrading and repairing the ship, accompanied with Saru's voiceover, is a really nice opening. And it really walks you through, because Saru is giving some great exposition about the Discovery being upgraded. Like she's got her battle wounds healed, she's still got the scars, but she's looking good. We have a new designation, 1031-A. Yeah, we do. With the 32nd century refit, we get the new designation for the USS Discovery. Kind of covers the basis of this is a ship from the past that shouldn't be here, so and that was supposed to have been destroyed, so we're gonna give it a new registry, while also, recognizing that is a ship in many ways that is basically brand new.
Exactly. It's a nice way to also say, hey, listen, we recommissioned the ship. This is a brand new vessel. It definitely did not come from the past, and we're not breaking the temporal accords.
Right. Exactly. These are not the droids you're looking for.
Which leads to, the other captains around the briefing room, as Admiral Vance. And by the way, I loved this scene. It really gave you a sense that Admiral Vance is working with what he has. He's prioritizing these situations. He's making sure that his resources are in line and ready to act where he needs them to.
Yeah, we see a small handful of captains, and presumably there are maybe a couple of others that are out on assignment already, but it's clear that the Federation and Starfleet's capacity for maintaining it are seriously diminished. It's a lesson it's something that Saru definitely takes to heart after that meeting.
Yeah, and it's very interesting because Saru definitely flags. He's like, hey, we can do this right now. But I think, and I agree, that Admiral Vance, playing the Discovery close to the chest, making sure that the other captains are like, hey, by the way, this doesn't leave the room, this is classified intel. A little bit of a weird way to reveal that it's classified intel, but be that as it may, it is a Star Trek show.
It's also a little bit weird because I'm pretty sure they just jumped from right outside Starfleet headquarters last week, and everyone in there must have seen that.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's a good point. We have another reference to Osira and the Emerald Chain. So
sure do.
Definite confirmation, from our last episode that the Emerald Chain is in fact the big bad here. And as we'll talk about later on in the episode, they don't really seem to have it all together quite yet. But then again, we've not met Osira.
Yeah, I don't think we really can judge. It seems like they have at least some fairly wide-reaching influence and are posing a big enough threat in the region that the Federation needs to be worried about them. But yeah, we don't really know much about their organization, how big it is, how they operate. We've only just now gotten this sense from this slave scrapyard operation that they're brutal and that they're going to be a problem for probably the remainder of the season.
Yeah. So any theories so far?
As far as the Emerald Chain?
Yep.
Not really. I think you're on the money that they're going to be that they're being positioned to be the primary kind of antagonist for the season, maybe even beyond. We don't really know. Obviously, Star Trek has a long history of having, antagonists carry over from season to season. So it could be that we're talking about the Emerald Chain for the next 3 seasons of Discovery. Who knows? But yeah, Osira, I'm curious to meet this character. Do we have any sort of knowledge of who's been cast as Osira?
That is being held close to the chest.
Okay. Okay. I didn't know if that was something that had been announced or not. I certainly don't know.
I missed it.
Yeah.
I must have missed that announcement.
It's hard not to anticipate that being a pretty big deal. So I'm curious to see what they do with that character. Her little nephew, I've forgotten his name, Tolor. He escapes at the end of the episode, so he's certainly going to be coming back as a sort of at least a mini boss at some point. But it's hard not to see that this is going to be continuing to play out for at least the rest of the season. Yeah, I don't really have any theories on what the Emerald Chain might actually be, but right now it's just looking like, some kind of run-of-the-mill gangster crime syndicate type operation, which compared to the world-ending galactic, decimation of all organic life and the Klingon War and the decimation of Starfleet and the Federation before it can even begin, and the Mirror Universe, this feels very low stakes. Yeah. But still serious enough to present a bit of a challenge. Yeah. It's a recognition of the opportunity that having this show take place in a post-Burn Federation has. It's a way to kind of reset the universe, because the Federation just kept getting more and more powerful. Starfleet kept getting more and more powerful. So you'd get to the point where, at least storytelling wise, they clearly felt like we need something really, really big and really, really catastrophic to throw at this really powerful powerful Starfleet, this really powerful protagonist. And now this is just like you said, these are just gangsters. Like, this is just a criminal, it's just a crime syndicate, and they're posing a very serious threat to the Federation. That's a much different kind of frame for the Discovery crew to be in. I do like the portrayal of the new technology that we had with the crew getting their new comm badges, going through their brand new tricorders and brand new interfaces. We had some great scenes with Lieutenant Awashikon and Lieutenant Detmer where they're at their panels saying, oh, they look so similar, they look the same, but then you have that really cool programmable matter coming up to meet them. And, suddenly they can interface in a much more organic way with the ship. The one of the things that this episode and I think the season's done so far really well, that I was sort of anxious about going in, is establishing a believable 32nd century, Starfleet technology. And it's cool to see that the comm badge is basically now this ultimate multi-tool, where it's a comm badge. It's also your personal transporter. It's also your tricorder. It's also your pad. It's also, that made sense. Sort of a natural evolution. You see what the iPhone is. It's exactly. a condensing of all these different and disparate technologies into one device. So it makes sense that eventually the comm badge could have a similar sort of function, an all-in-one function that was really portable and powerful. And this programmable matter in these consoles now allows the crew to customize their interfaces to match their needs and how they like to operate. And of course, Detmer's like, can't I just keep pushing buttons? I don't know. I don't need this. I don't need this fancy crap. If it's clear that she's of the ilk that if she had her way, she'd be flying with a joystick still.
Yeah. Well, she's Top Gun. She's macho. She's the pilot. So, the comm badge definitely seems like a natural extension of the 27th century's mobile emitter, mobile emitter, packing all that tech in. I'm sure that definitely had something to do with the development of those comm badges.
For sure. Yeah. The interface seems like this hybrid hologram programmable matter sort of tech, and it's compellingly futuristic while also being believable, which I think was the needle that they needed to thread, and so far I think they've done so successfully. We see Disco get upgraded with detachable nacelles, so they now represent that sort of cutting edge technology, cutting edge 32nd century technology that programmable matter allows.
A long time ago, before Discovery was actually airing, I remember, just being a fan and chatting with other fans about, what would you want to see in a post Deep Space Nine, post Nemesis era of Star Trek? And one of the things that I kind of pushed against was the fact that it's really hard today for writers to imagine a future that isn't close to us. Like, think about 1,000 years from now, which is where Discovery is, you have new technology that to us right now, living in 21st century America, it would be absolute magic because we're not there yet. The science doesn't exist yet for us to truly understand it. So how can you portray that on screen with what we have here to use as props? It doesn't matter how good your VFX can be if I simply cannot believe it to ever happen. And one of the things that Star Trek in the 60s did so well was that they thought up these devices, communicators, pads, transporters, and they brought them into the cultural zeitgeist that stayed with all the creators. So now I have to wonder, but if you look at that, the show took place, was filmed in the 60s, but they were only talking about the 23rd century. So it's only a couple hundred years. That technology jump isn't as crazy as a 1,000-year technology jump. So I like what the writers have done, and I like the needle that they're threading with this. And my initial reaction to, they're going to be so far in the future, I wonder what that technology is going to look like. I have felt fairly good.
When you make decisions for your company, you look for the no-brainers. And if you have a lot of mailing to do, Stamps.com is the ultimate no-brainer. Mail checks, invoices, documents, and everything you need to keep your business running. Get rates up to 89% off USPS and UPS. And with the mobile app, you can take care of mailing on the go. Make the same no-brainer decisions as over 1 million other businesses with Stamps.com. Sign up at Stamps.com with code PROGRAM for a special offer. That's Stamps.com, code PROGRAM. When you make decisions for your company, you always look for the no-brainers. And if you have a lot of mailing and shipping to do, Stamps.com is the ultimate no-brainer. It streamlines your process to make your business more efficient, which makes you less busy. Mail checks, invoices, legal documents, books, and everything you need to keep your business running with Stamps.com. Seamlessly connect with every major marketplace and shopping cart if you sell online. Schedule package pickups through the dashboard and automatically see your cheapest and fastest shipping options from different carriers, with rates up to 89% off USPS and UPS rates. And with the Stamps.com mobile app, you can take care of mailing and shipping wherever you are, even on the go. Make the same no-brainer decision as over 1 million other business decision makers with Stamps.com. Sign up at Stamps.com with code PROGRAM for a special offer that includes a 4-week trial, plus free postage and a free digital scale. No long-term commitments or contracts. That's Stamps.com, code PROGRAM.
About what I've been seeing.
Yeah, for sure. And it doesn't, nothing is ringing as nothing's ringing out a false note, I guess, when I look at it. Everything kind of on screen, tech wise and VFX wise, has sort of passed the smell test.
Yes.
Which was something that I wasn't 100% sure was going to be the case. I'm glad to see that they've met and exceeded every expectation I had on that front so far. So that's been really encouraging to see. And one of the many things that I did like about this episode.
For sure. Although I have to say that something that did not pass the smell test for me was when we start getting into the meat of this episode here, where Lieutenant Bryce reports that the Discovery is being hailed from a vessel that is outside the Federation's distortion field. So, they answer it and they find that Grudge, the cat, is
at the helm of Book's
right
ship.
at the helm on Booker's ship, and it's one of those telltale, Booker programmed the ship to go find the Discovery in case something should happen, right? Well, something did happen, and now the ship has found the Discovery, which is hiding inside the Federation's distortion field. So it doesn't pass the smell test for me, Ian, how they could just find the Discovery hiding inside the Federation starbase that's supposed to be hidden this whole time. Real good job hiding, you guys.
Well, I don't think it's that the coordinates were given to Book by Burnham, presumably. I mean, he had to know how to navigate there.
Well, presumably, yes, but
I mean,
it's
I
one
think
of those.
They say that at some. Don't they say that, or at least imply that with what they say? That
if it's implied,
I can't remember
it's a very
the
light
line of
implication.
Yeah, I'll at least say to me on first viewing, it was clear that the implication was that Burnham had at some point given the coordinates to Book so that he could find her when he needed to reconnect.
Well, if that's the case, then I will retract my complaint. But the way that the episode played out, and this could be just, a product of how frenetic that I felt the episode was and how quick the plot moved in order to tell the story.
It was an episode that was structured a little uniquely.
Yeah. So Saru and Burnham, they watch this holographic recording that was left by Book, and he explains that, he was looking for this black box, which is what Burnham had been looking for, throughout the galaxy while investigating the burn. The black box, similar to how on airplanes today, has a recording of, the ship's final moments, and it records, consistently and on and on and on. Well, they have found several boxes, most of them destroyed. However, two of them indicated that there could be something different, with different information in regards to how the burn operated. So the third box, which would potentially help solve this mystery of what that unknown variable might be, is on a planet that is controlled by the Emerald Chain. Yeah, so Booker is going to investigate, and he programmed his ship to deliver his cat to the Discovery if he did not return within 24 hours.
Yeah, so presumably something has gone awry, and this planet, Hunhao, that Book tracked this third black box to, he didn't return to his ship within a preset 24-hour period, so it went and found Federation space. The plan that Burnham has is, it's a pretty straightforward one. What she wants is to determine whether this third black box that Book has tracked down will give the precise moment of destruction of the ship. And
yes.
The working theory that she has is that if the burn happened simultaneously throughout space, every ship should have been destroyed at the same time. If they weren't, then that means that the burn likely had a point of origin, and you can, if you have at least 3 black boxes, triangulate or begin to triangulate where the burn originated from, and that would be a very useful thing to know. It does for me, again, just in terms of the way they, the story that they were trying to tell, it raised for me some questions about why in the last 120 years no one had thought to check the black boxes in the many Starfleet ships that were destroyed, when that sort of 101 disaster recovery, when an aircraft goes down, the first thing everyone knows you look for is the black box. I'm a little curious why none of these were tracked down or analyzed prior to this, but they weren't.
Yeah, an organization as vast and intelligent and dynamic as the Federation, the Starfleet, you're really asking the viewers to accept a lot of hand-waving.
Yeah, and I don't mind some degree of hand-waving in any of these shows. It was just a little bit too much in this episode, on a few other notes too, which we'll get to.
Sure. Now, granted, Admiral Vance has been very forceful and forward about the fact that they've got bigger problems right now.
Absolutely.
And there is a crisis going on currently on a planet called Argeth. And Admiral Vance has ordered the Discovery to be on standby because things could get hot real fast over there. And he might need the Discovery to jump in and help deal with the crisis. So here we go with the very first situation we have with Commander Michael Burnham and Captain Saru, wherein the Discovery has orders that they have to be on standby, be prepared to jump, and this is your job. You are ordered to do this. And Burnham says, well, no, we're trying to find these black boxes. We're trying to investigate the burn. We have solid intel that this could help solve the mystery. And Saru says, no, we can't do it. We cannot violate orders. And here we go with Commander Michael Burnham, number one on the Starship Discovery, goes to the Empress Philippa Georgiou and says that she can't stand by. And are you up for an unsanctioned mission to find Booker and the black box?
Yeah, immediately, right away.
Right out of the gate. It's the next scene, Ian. It's the next scene.
Immediate. No wrestling with it. No, should I do this to Saru and every single other person on this crew that they care about? Should I put the crew in a situation where they maybe couldn't respond to a crisis that arrived? Like, it's just a little nutty to me that wasn't even a question. Didn't even apparently cross her mind that she could have done anything up to and including at least like leaving a note. Yeah. she could have left a message to auto deliver the moment she was out of transporter range. Anything. Any number of options available to this obviously intelligent and compassionate person. So when the writers paint her into these sorts of narrative corners, it can be a little frustrating.
Yeah. And taking Booker's ship and going off the Discovery, and presumably Booker's ship had docked with the Discovery, as we saw in Episode 3. It can certainly fit in the shuttle bay.
Yes.
But, regardless, even if it was inside the Federation headquarters distortion field, you would think someone would say, hey, here's an unauthorized vessel departing.
I would have a problem with that if that wasn't something that occurs in literally every Star Trek series. So that's one thing that I will hand wave away. That's a problem that has existed on every Star Trek series. There's no, despite the fact that everyone has a goddamn comm badge, there's no automated alert anywhere apparently for when someone leaves or comes onto the ship. It's crazy. But that's kind of a Star Trek thing.
Yeah, the Federation has learned very, very little since the search for Spock.
Yep.
Yeah. What's interesting to me about some of this as well is I can't say that I disagree with Burnham. And she says the line, I'd rather regret something I did than something I didn't. And I think, we can all relate with that, right? Like, it's
Absolutely.
easier to ask forgiveness than it is to ask permission. You have that,
Sure.
Moral gray area that flies around. And I know that a lot of parents are familiar with that phrase because that's where I learned that phrase from my own parents.
Sure.
But it feels at this point where Burnham should know that she is duty bound. And as I have said in previous episodes, I think that they're leading to a point where Burnham might leave the Discovery because she has found that she really is thriving in this universe. Now, thriving.
When you make decisions for your company, you look for the no-brainers. And if you have a lot of mailing to do, Stamps.com is the ultimate no-brainer. Mail checks, invoices, documents, and everything you need to keep your business running. Get rates up to 89% off USPS and UPS. And with the mobile app, you can take care of mailing on the go. Make the same no-brainer decisions as over 1 million other businesses with Stamps.com. Sign up at Stamps.com with code PROGRAM for a special offer. That's Stamps.com, code PROGRAM.
With Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to... Has anyone seen the bride and groom?
Sorry, we're here. We were getting lucky in the limo and we lost track of time.
No, Lucky Land Casino, with cash prizes that add up quicker than a guest registry.
In that case, I pronounce you lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Daily bonuses are waiting. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Quote unquote, right? Because of the situation and the circumstances. But as a person, as an individual, finding herself and finding what is important to her and that she can do things appropriately, and for the betterment as she sees fit. As opposed to, well, I have to answer to Captain Saru, who has to answer to Admiral Vance, who is ordering us to stay put.
Yeah, it just seemed like such an extreme reaction given the stakes that were established. Like, I think the stakes for Michael needed to be higher or at least clearer because, the situation that we know is, Book sent this message, about 3 weeks ago. It's a little unclear why, she can't wait an additional 12 hours. We haven't said this yet, but the message says explicitly, basically like, I'll come to you. Just this is the situation. I located the black box. It's on this planet. I'm going to get it. I will see you later. That's essentially the message. And from that, she goes crazy, like wild over correction to, Saru admittedly was probably too dismissive of the intel and her desire to, wasn't the most sensitive to her obvious personal desire to go rescue Book, but it also wasn't 100% clear that he needed rescuing at that point. And it again, like there was a spectrum of available decisions between following orders and doing what she did, and it is really hard for me to believe, with as intelligent and as compassionate as she is presented to us so many times, that she was unable to navigate that situation more intelligently.
Yeah. And you raise a good point about Saru maybe being a little bit too dismissive. And, we learn later on in the episode when Admiral Vance kind of dresses him down a little bit and says, you should have come to me, that would have informed my decision a little bit differently.
Yeah, in terms of setting the stakes, I mean, if they'd made it more explicit that if she didn't disobey Saru, Book was definitely going to die somehow, or there was some sort of ticking clock. There was no sense of impending doom that justified the level of overreact. Like I get that, the reason she did that is because she's obviously in love with Book and she was worried about him. Like, I get that, but I think that his situation wasn't presented as being dire enough ahead of time for her to have the reaction that she had. Like, if she had reacted that way and she knew that if she didn't leave, Book was going to die, and Saru was telling her, look, I'm really, really sorry. I like Book too. I'm not like telling you this, like I'm not getting any pleasure out of this. But, if that was the situation, like, I think I'd be a little bit more sympathetic.
Yeah. And as we learn, while Burnham and Georgiou are on Booker's ship, on their way to, rescue Booker and, save the day, we get a little bit of exposition here where Georgiou kind of challenges Burnham and says, you are involved, you do care. And Burnham protests and she goes off and, she's like, well, I had my own ship. And she says the phrase, I didn't love here or anything. And Georgiou picks up on that. She goes, aha, so you did, you do. And she's like, what? No, I didn't mean that. I said I didn't live here. And it's supposed to be this slip of the tongue moment. And I gotta be honest, it kind of, that dialogue that was written, that line, it did not land for me. It felt very contrived. It felt very like, we want you, the viewer, to immediately care and understand that Burnham's in love with Booker. You don't need to tell me that. I knew this. I picked up on it. And so did so many other viewers. Yeah,
that scene, that whole part of that scene, I think could have used another pass, another dialogue pass. I think, the Book Burnham banter was not great.
Yeah.
I mean,
and the whole
with Georgiou, like with them,
with Georgiou, right?
Yeah, like the overall, I kind of did start to like, especially once they got planet side. I kind of liked seeing Georgiou and Burnham kind of kick it together and get into their own adventures. Like I think that maybe Burnham would be in a happier place in this season if she was doing more of that. It's clear that she wants to kind of be, on her own and operating on her own. And Georgiou is obviously happy doing that. So like maybe they should do more of that rather than try to, maybe Burnham at this point is a bit of a square peg into a round hole in terms of getting back into that Starfleet uniform.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
Maybe it's not as good a fit as it used to be.
Really liked the Georgiou-Burnham dynamic. And this really plays into Georgiou's relationship with Burnham, right? And we get these glimpses, these moments of PTSD where Georgiou is multiple times in this episode. She freezes and she sees these visions, and the viewer is treated to this quick shot montage of very gruesome, very visceral imagery of the death of someone obviously close to Georgiou. In the mirror universe, we see the iconography of the dagger through the earth, the Terran Empire symbol. We have to guess, we have to extrapolate. And could it be that Georgiou is seeing her own mirror universe, Burnham, and somehow she died and this informed how she is now living? Is she coming to some kind of terms with the fact that she is some brutal, crazy, genocidal space Hitler type? And the interaction with the interrogator in the previous episode has sparked some of these images and some of these repressed memories that she now has to deal with. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that it is very likely that David Cronenberg did something to her brain, or her biology somehow, and she's suffering some sort of after effect. I don't know exactly what he did, but it's certainly not a coincidence that we saw the two of them together, and then the next time we saw her, she was starting to space out, and it's apparently been getting worse ever since. So something happened. My guess is it's something that she did in her past that she's flashing back to, maybe the first time she killed someone, or maybe the first time she saw someone get something traumatic in her past, and maybe it's the awakening of some sense of trauma, processing normal human empathy in a way that she was perhaps not able to in the past. Not really sure what's going on, but it seems clear that he did something to her, and that something is now working its way through her, and she's not eager to get any sort of help. But these things are becoming increasingly debilitating, so it sort of one wonders how long she can even keep this hidden, because she's going to collapse in front of someone who isn't Michael at some point soon.
Exactly. And who's going to be there to get her out of this situation?
Yeah, it's a bit of a strangely short-sighted attitude that Georgiou has at the end, but she's also got a lot of pride and ego.
Of course. Interesting thought that came about in discussing that scene with my wife. Her theory is that Georgiou is dealing with the implications of being out of her own universe and being in this prime universe. And with the episode prior where David Cronenberg, the interrogator, is like, or the holograms are saying, we found out that there's a biological strain, to our genetics that indicate that you are in fact Terran. And since Georgiou has spent all this time in the prime universe without issue, now she's starting to experience issues as a result of her not being a product of this universe.
Yeah, I could see her sort of developing some sort of allergy to the prime universe, maybe. Although I'm curious. Again, we know so little about what sort of relationship Terrans have with the prime universe, because the David Cronenberg character still seemed very well acquainted with their biology, even after not having an active crossing over the last 500 in the last 500 years, which to me indicates that there might still be some Terrans surviving somehow, or at least that did survive somehow for extended periods of time past that post-crossing threshold. I don't know.
Yeah,
it'd be interesting to see what we learn about the Terrans and their current relationship to the Federation in the 32nd century.
Yeah. That's one of the great things about serialized TV is we don't have to have all the answers today. We can do a podcast on it, and we can theorize, and we can discuss. And
I got nothing other than something's going on with her.
Yeah. So let's get into this prison.
When you make decisions for your company, you look for the no-brainers. And if you have a lot of mailing to do, Stamps.com is the ultimate no-brainer. Mail checks, invoices, documents, and everything you need to keep your business running. Get rates up to 89% off USPS and UPS. And with the mobile app, you can take care of mailing on the go. Make the same no-brainer decisions as over 1 million other businesses with Stamps.com. Sign up at Stamps.com with code PROGRAM for a special offer. That's Stamps.com, code PROGRAM.
Okay, round two. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Ah, sorry, we were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right, ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Situation, this salvage yard. They arrive at this planet. It's a ship graveyard. There's a salvage operation going on. It's run by this Andorian Orion syndicate, the Emerald Chain. There's this guy there who's in charge of the whole operation, and he's kind of an idiot.
He's a douchebag. He's just he's just a bully.
He's a bully,
which Georgiou correctly points out right away, and she dominates him. She says that
completely.
They crumble when they come face to face with a bigger bully, and she's the biggest bully in the galaxy. So of course she has her way with him, and this was where for me I really liked once she started turning on, especially when they were planetside, the Space Hitler charm with Tolor, this hapless kind of goon, this Orion who is the nephew of Osira.
Yes. We do learn a little bit about Osira here, and the workers apparently owe Osira their lives, and they work for the privilege of being alive. So
they are slaves.
It's a slave situation, and introducing a named Andorian by the name of Rin, He is missing his antenna because he tried to lead an uprising against the Emerald Chain and Osira, and they turned him into a very effective pariah by chopping off his antenna and using him to be the one who would implant these devices that would control and, presumably track and deliver, some kind of, agonizing pain, shock. I'm trying to avoid using the phrase agonizer, considering all the Terrans that we're dealing with lately, but it seems like that could be the thing. It's some kind of device, right, into the back of a worker's neck, and, we see the lethality. It keeps them inside of a fenced area, so they can't go off planet. They can't get back to their ship. They can't leave. They have to stay and they have to work.
Yeah, we learned that if you have one of these little devices implanted at the base of your skull, which Rin is now in charge of doing because he dared to rebel against Osira, we learned that if you try and escape through the perimeter fence, your head explodes.
Your head explodes.
Yep.
In a
NBD.
lethal demonstration of the device where Burnham and Georgiou are shopping, they're going through, they all happen to run into one of the workers there who steals a water ration. And this worker is caught, of course, and here we get the demonstration of this worker being told, maybe the fence doesn't work today and you can run and you'll be free. Or maybe it works. I guess we'll have to find out. And this worker has no choice but to run or get shot down.
Yeah. It's pretty brutal. And we learned that that Book has been captured and enslaved at this salvage operation, at this salvage yard.
He's got his own device implanted in his neck.
Yeah, and now we are presented with a little bit of a ticking clock. Burnham and Book do reconnect, and after he tells her that, of course, she wasn't supposed to come after him, because that's what his message said.
Yep.
We learned that in 43 minutes, he is due to be shift changed off planet to one of the ships in orbit for a week. So if Burnham,
now or never.
Yeah, if Burnham and Georgiou are going to get him off of there, it's got to be sometime in the next 40 minutes.
And herein lies the drama. We have to figure out how do we rescue everybody, but it's not just Book, right? We have to rescue everybody.
Right.
Because
we got a good old-fashioned Star Trek slave rebellion. And while this is going on back on the ship, Saru and Tilly have realized that Michael is gone.
Yeah. This is definitely one of my favorite moments of the episode where Saru kind of goes to Tilly, and it's almost – it's such a nice, like, confidant moment where he expected Tilly to kind of back Michael, and he was prepared to deal with this. And then, she surprises him a little bit and says, you know what? She should not have done that. And, you have to tell Admiral Vance what happened. Because if you don't tell him and he finds out anyway, then forget it. We are written off.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is sort of a shame that my highlights of this episode too is this scene where they're having to discuss the really irrational behavior of this other character. It's too bad that it's not better motivated, because it is a really good moment for Saru and Tilly to come together and for her to surprise him by saying that as much personal support as she has for Michael, she has put Saru in an impossible professional situation, and now they're all going to have to face the consequences of that together. And so Saru does go to the Admiral. He does assure the Admiral that despite his first officer's absence, the Discovery stands ready to jump to Argith at a moment's notice. And Vance says, that's great, because the Emerald Chain is pulled out of negotiations with us, and you might have to jump away at a moment's notice.
Yep. It seems like things are starting to get hot, not just for Discovery, but for Burnham and Georgiou as well, and for Admiral Vance, and, well, who knows what might happen next. It's one of those situations where, if we were living in 1996 again, it would go to commercial break.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think for people who have CBS All Access, that isn't are there still 2 tiers of CBS All Access? I think there's an ad supported or partly ad supported version that does have those ad breaks in there. But yeah, it is funny, especially when you watch the older series and you see the clear breaks to commercial. It's just a very different editing and writing style because of the way that television was.
Yeah. So back on Hunhow, Georgiou and Burnham have kind of put together this little escape plan. Now that we know that there's a ticking clock, they are going to have to act fast. So Tolor, the bully, the Orion bully who's leading this whole salvage operation, he takes off because he's got to go deal with a few other crazy things that are going on. And he leaves a drone to follow Burnham and Georgiou while they go off, quote unquote, shopping, right, for old parts. And this is where I think, a lot of fans, we heard self-sealing stem bolts, and we got references to late 24th century, and we're looking for old technology. And Georgiou gets to show off one of Discovery's tricorders and be like, oh, look at this. It's 930 years old. It works perfectly.
Right. Wonder why.
Yeah. So there's a little bit of a nice, dichotomy between Georgiou being not just so much better at being a bad guy than these guys are, but also how much smarter she is and how quick on her feet and how capable she is of inserting herself into a situation and completely owning it.
Yeah, she runs roughshod over him, and it is one of the more effective things about this episode. It worked really well for me. A lot of fun to 100%. See her. A lot of fun to see her flex those muscles.
So for Booker's part, he has kind of sort of teamed up with the Andorian Rin, not just offering emotional support, because Booker is a little bit of an empath, it seems, and he can see that Rin needs that support. Rin is an outcast, and even though he is also a slave, he is treated as, kind of
collaborator.
He's the one. Yeah,
he's a collaborator. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it. So Booker has Rin go get the black box from Booker's quarters, and herein starts the whole prison break sequence. And something that I took issue with in this episode is the story of Rin, and he becomes this collaborator after trying to start an uprising. It's so compelling as a story device that I'm disappointed that we don't have more of it. Like, it feels very surface level, and it doesn't feel like it has real meat. So when, the prison break happens and all the events therein occur, it doesn't feel like anything. I don't know. I wasn't impressed by any of it. I wasn't like, oh man, oh my God, oh, don't hurt him. I was very much like, okay, that happened.
Yeah, it was a little bit of, it was fast. I mean, it's, I think we're in and out of there meaning the shipyard, like maybe there's 20 minutes left of the episode after they get out of there. I mean, it's a little odd, like that they didn't spend a little more time there establishing these characters. I will say though, at least in Rin's case, I think that, because this is clearly not the last time we're seeing him. This is now going to be a new cast member. He's going to get that opportunity to be more fleshed out, and I think I'm a little bit more forgiving of that particular side of things. But yeah, I think I could have done certainly with a little bit more establishment of that place and the people there, so that I would care a little bit more about their escaping. Beyond the obvious, like, slavery's terrible and we should always be happy when slaves escape. I suppose that's always a fairly, it would just be nice if it didn't feel like they were just, hanging that entire part of the story on that particular emotional beat. It would be nice if there was a little bit more depth there. I agree with you. Yeah. And, Burnham and Georgiou allowing themselves to be taken captive, and they are brought back to Booker's ship, which, for the Emerald Chain, they don't know that it's Booker's ship. They just think it's Burnham and Georgiou's ship. So, they're there, and this whole fight occurs where,
one of the guards has the dilithium on board the ship, and he's like, oh, this is it. And Georgiou is trying to impress upon Tolor, like, hey, listen, your boss is going to be pretty unhappy if he finds out that, you took this without knowing where it came from, why I have it. You don't know who I am. You should really reconsider what you're about to do. Fighting occurs. It's a great, knockdown, drag out sequence where, Georgiou is fighting the henchman. Burnham is fighting Tolor, and just as about, I think Georgiou is about to deliver the final killing blow. She has another PTSD moment, and she collapses immediately to the floor.
Yeah, she's basically paralyzed by these visions that blast into her head. And we've never seen her this debilitated by them before, and presumably she's never been this debilitated by them before. It seems to catch her by surprise too.
Yeah.
And then Burnham almost doesn't make it, and then of course she does. Georgiou recovers in time to save Burnham, and then Tolor of course escapes. So it will not be the last time we see Tolor.
It's not the last we see of Tolor, but we do happen to get the device that controls the fencing. So Georgiou is able to grab that controlling device and turns off the it'll pop off your head fence. And this allows all the prisoners to escape. They are able to get to the cargo ship. They take it over, and the last thing we see is both Booker's ship with Georgiou, Burnham, and Booker, and the Andorian Rin, who is injured by one of the energy beam attacks. And we see Booker's ship and the cargo ship warp away.
Yeah, so they escape. Pretty nifty work all around. And then it's time to face the music back at Starfleet headquarters for Michael.
It's time to face the music.
But before we do see her face the music, we actually get this little scene with Adira and Stamets in the mess hall.
Oh yeah.
Adira is chatting with her boyfriend Gray, who still only she can see. Yep. It is a little unclear as of yet exactly what this is.
Is he
whether
a ghost?
Is Gray real? What does that mean? Mm-hmm. If this is actually a sort of a natural, if that makes sense, byproduct of this Trill symbiont getting used to being inside a human, which is not something that has, we've seen before. Is this a natural byproduct of that? It'll be interesting to see where they go with it.
Yeah, and Adira is very not at all bashful about talking to Gray, who is a ghost or a spirit or whatever. But Stamets very clearly sees Adira talking to herself, and yep. He's kind of like, he's not like, oh, look at this crazy person. He's a little more respectful. He's
bemused,
very curious.
Okay, what's going on here?
What's going on here?
What's the deal?
And it's the perfect pairing considering what Stamets has gone through.
Yes.
Considering what Culber has gone through.
Yeah. And
how their relationship evolved and changed over the course of the show. And it's a nice, pairing for Adira and Stamets to get together, because who else can understand better than Stamets at this point besides Culber himself, right?
Yeah, Culber would also be. It'll be interesting to see whether Culber gets some one-on-one time with Adira, especially given now that she's sort of out with at least with Stamets about her seeing Gray, and it'll be interesting to see Culber's perspective with her if we do in fact get some interaction between the two of them. I hope we do. But yeah, Stamets believes her, which again we've seen that touched on in season 2 of Disco, when Tilly is seeing the mycelial alien as a vision that only she can see, and she sits down and talks to Michael, and what was so important about that scene, that Michael believed her. She took her seriously, and she believed her, and it's good to see that we have that message continue to be reinforced. The value of believing someone when they say that they're experiencing something.
Right. And this is something that I think we need to take away from not just this episode or Star Trek in general, but for our own livelihoods. You know, believe each other. If you have something to say, listen and believe in it.
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, believe that they believe. You know,
yes.
take them seriously. Mm-hmm. It doesn't necessarily mean that you need to take them literally, or that they are correct. But you should, at the very least, give them the courtesy of sitting and listening and seeing what they have to say. And as far as Stamets' firsthand experience goes, as he outlines to her, like, what she has to say doesn't sound crazy to him. It's unusual. It's something that he's never experienced before, but so is almost everything we've seen him go through in this show.
Yep.
So from his perspective, it's clear what the choice is. He's going to believe her.
Yeah. So a few episodes ago, we had this moment where Stamets snapped at Tilly because Tilly was trying to create a dark matter interface for navigating the mycelial network. Whereas Adira shows up and she is not only able to create a new nanogel-based interface, but she's also able to remove the shunts so that Stamets no longer has to directly jack in to the spore drive.
Yeah, Stamets is the Discovery isn't the only one that gets upgrades. So does Stamets. He no longer has to use those awful shunts into his arms that he was plugging into himself the last couple seasons. He can just stick his hands in this green non-sticky goo, and that's it. He's in the mycelial network. It's a lot easier.
It's a lot easier. That nanogel looks like something I would like to put my hands in. I bet it feels
it looks
awesome.
super soothing. It probably, it's like when you stick your hand in sand, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know that feeling? Like that, it looks, and then you take your hand out and there's, you know, it's dry. It seems like it's like that. It's like sticking his hand in this like silicate, quantum gel stuff, that's pretty cool. And then he pulls his hand out, and it's completely dry. It's pretty badass.
Yeah, it's probably got a moisturizing element to it too.
Oh yeah, it's got to be good for the skin.
Oh man, get me some nanogel, please.
Stamets needs it. He's very pale. His skin is probably super sensitive.
Yeah, it very likely is. I wonder what his skincare regimen is like.
Thorough.
So we get back on board the Discovery with Burnham back in uniform, Booker at her side. She is heading off to, quote, face the firing squad, unquote, and they jump into a turbo lift. And this is the moment I was watching it with my wife. She turns to me. She's like, this is it, right?
Yep.
And we all know what's going to happen.
Yeah, of course.
So he leans over. He hits I love it that turbo lifts have a stop button.
Of course. Because this is the scene where one romantic interest stops the elevator to confess their feelings to the, we know exactly what the scene is the moment he stops the elevator.
Yeah, the real slow incoming kiss is interrupted once more by Linus.
Yep.
Which definitely good comedic timing on that. It was good, and I will say that I would have probably not been happy had they not actually kissed. But Booker
agreed.
Goes in,
I like that they didn't
go in.
Yeah, they didn't fall into that. You see that sometimes in TV shows all the time, where movies where two characters like they're about to kiss and something interrupts them, probably something wacky, and we have a good laugh and it breaks the sexual tension, and then they don't follow through on it for a million more scenes.
Right.
But no, nothing was going to get in the way of those two.
Yeah, no, good follow through, and awesome. Episode 6, the chemistry between them is excellent as actors. The chemistry between them as characters is very well done. I genuinely want them to come together more and have more scenes together, because much like Burnham and Georgiou, there's a lot of story that we can have fun with.
Yeah, they definitely have great chemistry together. That remains true, and it's frustrating because it's clear why she acts the way she does in this episode, they clearly have a strong bond. And I just wish that all the pieces added up to a greater whole.
So the final scene, which in my opinion is probably the strongest and most well-written of the episode, you have Saru, Captain Saru, Commander Burnham.
With the Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
This is your captain speaking. We've got clear runway and the weather's fine, but we're just going to circle up here a while and get lucky. No, nothing like that. It's just these cash prizes add up quick. So I suggest you sit back, keep your tray table upright, and start getting lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. That should brighten your day a little. Actually, a lot. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
And Admiral Vance. And you have this firing squad moment where Vance has to come to terms with the fact that one of his only capable starships, her first officer, is kind of a rogue element, right? And while he may have even approved the mission for Burnham, given the ability and the opportunity to get some more intel on the burn, he's not thrilled with how she acted, and in his eyes, she should be in the brig.
Basically, gives her the sort of classic Starfleet out of the thing you did, the insubordinate thing you did, was really terrible. But since it worked out, we're not throwing you in the brig. Yeah.
And she saved lives. She saved, at least a couple hundred people.
She did. Yeah, for sure. But that was what was so, kind of head scratching. And Vance at least did point this out, where he says, if you guys had just come to me, I might have approved this mission. Maybe after the only 12 hours that I was asking you guys to wait around. It's not like I was asking you for a week of your time.
Yeah. Yeah.
We could have launched this rescue mission at any point after this 12-hour window. The fact that it was never even on the table is crazy to me.
Yeah. And then,
it's clearly frustrating for Vance too.
Burnham would have had the entire Discovery, at the planet ready to do anything that they needed to do, as opposed to having to go rogue with only Georgiou.
Right.
So Vance leaves it up to Captain Saru to determine what to do with Burnham, which I think is smart because, number one, Admiral Vance has no idea of the history, and there are no historical records besides what's in the Discovery's logs, which presumably by now he's read through just about every single one. So as far as he knows, Burnham could be one of the most amazing categorically perfect first officers, and this is the only instance of weird crap, what's going on, and Starfleet has got a lot of wiggle room for this kind of stuff. They've never been, fully by the book, because even when they go off the book, they're still, not for nothing, Kirk comes back and he's promoted to captain and given a brand new recommissioned Constitution vessel. So there's some wiggle room.
There definitely is. I like that Vance, leaves her fate up to Saru, and he makes the only choice that he could possibly be forced to make, which reinforces the point I made earlier about how if she knew that this was going to be the logical outcome of her actions, she should have just quit.
She should have just quit, yes.
She should have just taken a leave. Remember, all the way back in only last season when she took leave to go find Spock. She could have done that. It's just strange for someone who's so intelligent to not have thought this out a little bit more clearly. Or if she did, I would have liked to have seen that thought process a little bit more than I did. It was just the complete apparent lack of thought from this really smart person is always going to be frustrating for me.
It's a little frustrating. I think it's only proper that Burnham loses her first officer status and she's relegated back down to being chief sciencer officer only. And the final scene where Saru is walking away, Burnham calls out. And, as he turns, Burnham says, "You're doing the right thing." So she knew this was going to happen. She agrees with the decision. And yet, to reinforce everything you've been saying, she could have just handled this better.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. It's not that I'm saying that I have the exact right answer to this situation. It's that I'm saying pretending like there weren't a whole host of other options available to her is ridiculous.
Fair enough. So that leaves the first officer slot open. Who do you think is going to get it? Because I know who I think is going to get it.
You think it's Nielsen?
I think it's Nielsen.
I mean, that makes sense. It seems like she's the second in command. It's not been outlined like that, but when Michael and Saru are off the bridge, she has the con. So
exactly.
To me, it's similar to, if Picard is stepping off the bridge and so is Riker, Data's in charge. It just seems like that's the line of succession there. So that makes sense to me. There's not really another main cast character. Like Tilly isn't an option, obviously.
Tilly's not an option.
Right. For obvious reasons. It just doesn't seem like there's another obvious candidate. And they've clearly been giving her a little bit more screen time and name checking her so that we'll at least be familiar with the fact that she exists when she's given the promotion, assuming that's what happens.
Right. She's already been given the con, I think, twice explicitly.
Yes, I think you're right. Yep.
Yeah. And agree with you. She's got a lot of face time. It can't be Tilly for a number of reasons. Number one, she has barely completed the command track training program. She's been an ensign now for, I don't know, a couple of months.
A minute?
Yeah.
She's fresh out of Starfleet. Of course she's not going to be second into command. I'm just, trying to think of other kind of main kind of cast crew members, and that's she's it, basically. Stamets obviously isn't going to be XO. He's got his own job. Nan's gone. So, I think Nielsen's it.
Nielsen's got to be it.
The other option would be Willa, Linus. Maybe, Linus. There you go.
Linus.
Yeah. I could see maybe Vance feeling like after Burnham went rogue, he needs someone who's loyal and can be his eyes and ears on the ship, and he might insert her into that role. That's the only kind of other realistic option I could see happening.
That would be compelling for me, because on our last podcast episode, I mentioned that I didn't care for Lieutenant Willa, and it was like, whatever, she's a character, she's just serving a purpose, and fine, but I was a little bothered by how much screen time we had spent with her, when I felt like that could have just been Vance himself or whatever. Anyway, but that's an interesting thought, and I would be potentially interested because I could see a very Commander Shelby type vibe come from her.
Sure. And she clearly warmed up to the crew the more she was, and she clearly warmed up to them. She was there observing that you guys are pretty dysfunctional, and then she observed like how much the crew kicked ass when they were all working together. So I think she's gained a level of respect for the crew that I could see her potentially working out as a first officer. It would certainly add something to that character.
Yeah, and given the state of the Federation, having more officers at Vance's right hand with actual shipfaring experience is not a bad thing.
Right.
Yeah. So, standout moments from this episode.
Definitely, it feels almost cheating to say like every scene was Saru, but honestly, this week every scene was Saru. He's great. I thought his, even when he's failing, the ways in which he fails are interesting, and he takes this very sort of stoic approach of he took in criticism from Vance, and he says to Michael, like, both of us made mistakes today. Yours was obviously much worse than mine. Nevertheless, I'm going to devote some serious thought to thinking about mine and how I can do better going forward. I love that about him.
That's really, really good self-reflection from a leader, not just the captain of a starship, but from someone that you want in your life, you know?
Yeah, he's been a captain for 2 minutes. Obviously, he's going to be learning things.
I loved the fat shaming of Grudge. I got a big kick out of that. There was a lot of...
Did you eat her?
Yes. I love when Georgiou was like, yo, you mean the cat? The cat has its own gravitational pull.
Yeah, the one thing the other thing that doesn't pass the smell test is that Tilly isn't a cat person. Come on, I had her pegged as a cat person for seasons. That's ridiculous. She doesn't even have allergies. Come on, she's got to become a cat person at the very least.
She's gonna become a cat person.
Yeah.
I could definitely see a very fun moment where, and I thought it might have happened here, where Tilly has to take care of the cat more directly, and there's a learning moment there, similar to when Data was trying to pawn off Spot for babysitting.
yeah, exactly. That was the other thing that was not to keep harping on this. I'm sorry. I love Michael as a character, and I love Sonequa Martin Green, and these writers obviously know what they're doing a lot of the time. But she couldn't have even told Tilly. She just left Grudge in Tilly's room, and no nothing. Just here, take care of this thing. Like, what?
Well,
that's your friend.
That's the
what
other
are you
thing.
doing?
Like they share the room, right? Like Burnham and Tilly are bunkmates. So, and to leave the cat in there and to take off and to take the ship, and Tilly has no idea what's going on, and she pieces it together. And she's like, come on, you gotta come out from under the bed. You gotta go back in the box. Like, and you're just like, man,
it's like,
Michael,
dude,
what are you doing?
Why are you doing this to your friend, man?
Yeah.
What'd they do to you? Aside from everything you've ever asked of them and more.
I keep thinking about how, they had this big powwow moment where they're like, we're going to go through the wormhole with you. We're going to leave our lives behind. And you can't even leave a note.
Yeah. I mean, I guess there's an argument to be made, perhaps, that, Michael still isn't quite used to the fact that they're all actually back in her life. But she's had about a month to get used to it now.
Yeah, I was going to say, because Georgiou makes a point of it where when Burnham confronts her about the flashes that she's having, she's like, oh, it's been going on for 2 weeks now. And that kind of gives you, the viewer, an idea of what time frame everything is taking place in.
Yeah,
right?
the refit took a few weeks. It's clearly there's been some time that has passed.
Right. They've been getting to know different programs. They now have programmable matter. They've been getting trained up on the new equipment. Georgiou clearly knows about 24th century self-stealing stem bolts that she shouldn't know about to begin with.
Yeah, she's gotten all kinds of caught up on a lot of things.
So they're all getting caught up, right? They're all learning more. They're getting used to everything that's been going on. So you would think after spending at least, like you said, a month with her friends and family, that she would kind of fall back into some of those old routines. But it's definitely
at least have a moment of hesitation, a moment of hesitation.
She's definitely keeping everyone at arm's length still, which is why, and you're going to hear me say it again, I think that at the end of the season, one of the climax of the season arcs is going to be Burnham leaving the Discovery.
I could see that happening.
How they write that in, how they make that work moving forward remains to be seen. But that
was probably it for standout moments for me. One of the things I did make a note of, we caught a very brief glimpse of a Cardassian captain. One of the captains of this diminished Starfleet is a Cardassian, which is really cool to see.
Yeah. They also name drop the Bajoran exchange several times.
Yeah, and we see a Bajoran too. So we got a lot of kind of Deep Space Nine fan service between the self-sealing stem bolts and the Cardassian captain and the Bajoran exchange and the actual Bajoran who gets his head blown off. There was a lot there.
Yeah, kind of a bummer that Bajorans are still getting placed into work camps.
Yeah, not the best look. They just keep falling into the whole being a slave thing. It's rough. Yeah. The other thing that I think is interesting is since the Bajorans are still very clearly like a major force, I think that lends some credence to the design similarities between the 32nd century Starfleet uniforms and some Bajoran uniforms that we've seen, and also the Bajoran comm badge, very similar in shape to the new Starfleet comm badge. Maybe there is some design aesthetic, overlap between those two cultures now.
Yeah, I guess we'll hopefully see that come to play in either next episode or some future episodes that we have coming up.
Yeah, speaking of future episodes, did you see the trailer this time?
This time I did not.
Okay, so I'm not going to say a damn thing.
Okay.
But we do know the title. It is We're Finally at Unification 3.
Finally. Everyone has been so curious about what this could mean. You'll probably have a better idea already than I do, so I won't even bother to theorize. But
I will say
there
is nothing that you wouldn't expect from that title. I mean, it's Unification 3. Just go from there.
So we're definitely getting Romulans. We're definitely getting Vulcans.
It's Unification 3. Go from there.
Got it. Say no more, fam. Say no more. I'm really looking forward to the next couple of episodes of this podcast because we have some special guests coming in.
We do.
We do. We have several members of the We Made This Pod network who are going to be joining us on a few episode breakdowns, sharing their thoughts on the season 3 of Discovery so far. And, just chatting it up. So look out for that. Very excited. We also have another special guest that's going to be joining us, and I'm not going to say anything more about that. You'll just have to tune in to find out.
Yes, it'll be a pleasant surprise.
Oh, yes. Ian, is there anything that we missed?
I don't think so. I think we're pretty good at this by now.
I love the ship graveyards. I love the visual effects of this episode were great. Some fantastic editing moments as we were going through the actual planet of oh my God, Hunhao.
Yep.
As we were going to Hunhao, you pan around, you see these old ship vessels happening. Very cool stuff, man. I love this.
Yeah, the show continues to look incredible.
Yeah.
It continues to look really incredible.
They are really going all out, and I love them for that because so many times in the past you've had reused shots of the same bird of prey getting blown up over and over and over in every single franchise series.
But you see, this shot is different because in this shot it's facing left to right, and in that shot it's facing right to left.
You got me.
Yeah, how many times have we seen the Mutara Nebula in Star Trek, right?
I know, right? It's always there somewhere, just floating around.
Yeah. All right, man. This was fun. We should do this again sometime, maybe next week.
Maybe next week.
Okay.
Definitely next week. Remains to be seen. I don't know. Depends on if we get another episode or not.
Yeah, it's been a weird year. Anything can happen.
Thank you so much for joining us. This has been We Are Starfleet, a Star Trek Discovery companion podcast. We are a part of the We Made This network of pods, and you can stick around to hear about some more of the shows that are on the network. So stay tuned for that. Ian, I will talk to you soon.
Sounds good, man. You have a good night.
Elsewhere on We Made This. Pick a disc.
And I bought Riot first, and I was like, oh, I really like this. And then I went back and bought their first album, which I can't think of the name of the first one right now, but I listened to Riot more than I did the first one for sure. Yes, I recently found my old iPod, and you know how there's a section under settings that would tell you your most listened to songs? This was the top, like however many tracks it is, like 14 slots. And then it was everything else I listened to.
Right in the childhood.
Robin, the hooded man, do. Mate, before we do anything else, that
soundtrack. Yeah, you're a big fan of it, weren't you? Digging it. I could see the admiration for it in your little twinkle in your eyelids.
Oh, twinkle, it put a tear. It's beautiful, beautiful music by a band called Clannad, who obviously played that kind of music generally. Yeah. And it won a BAFTA.
Oh, okay.
That's because it deserved it.
Yeah. You know what? It definitely fit the aesthetic to the shows.
Cine Mortuary podcast.
Yeah, I want to say, and I don't say this lightly, but this might be my favourite 2 minutes of any film we've reviewed on the podcast so far.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking wild. It is pretty wild.
Sure. If I was given the director's chair and $5 million, this is the sort of thing I'd do.
You'd do that for 90 minutes.
Yeah,
it's him with the roulette wheel
just
again,
non-stop.
What if he vomits? What if he vomits playing cards? Beautiful.
Check out all of these shows and more on the We Made This podcast network.
We Are Starfleet is a podcast dedicated to Star Trek Discovery and how it relates to the story, ethos, and canon of Star Trek. Join your host, Mike Slammer, as he sits down with guests from all over the world to talk disco. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at Starfleet Pod. Follow for more Star Trek podcasts, such as The Sanctuary, a politics and economics of Star Trek pod, Rarely Going, a Star Trek Lower Decks podcast, and Make It So, a Star Trek Picard podcast. We Are Starfleet is produced as part of the We Made This network of podcasts. We Made This brings together popular culture podcasts around film, TV, music, and more that hopefully educate, excite, and don't take themselves too seriously. Check us out at www.wemadethispod.com. Original music composed and performed by Anthony Fuscaldo.
It is Ryan here, and I have a question for you. What do you do when you win? Like, are you a fist pumper, a woohooer, a hand clapper, a high fiver? I kind of like the high five, but if you want to hone in on those winning moves, check out Chumba Casino. At ChumbaCasino.com, choose from hundreds of social casino-style games for your chance to redeem serious cash prizes. There are new game releases weekly, plus free daily bonuses, so don't wait. Start having the most fun ever at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.